Hello everyone. In this class, we are going to discuss about the poem Michael Part 2. In the last class, we discussed about the Part 1 of the poem and the initial 40 lines of the poem we discussed in the last class. And today we are going to discuss about the continuation of that poem, Michael. And we discussed that this poem is a natural poem and the main character of this poem, the central character of the poem is Michael. Okay? And who is a shepherd, an old man, and this poem explains about the condition of Michael's life, his expectations, and his approach in nature, and his attempt to survive in a particular location. And then we discussed about the lines. Through that lines, the first 40 lines of the poem, William Wordsworth invites readers to travel that particular location. That location and its natural beauties are presented in the initial part of the poem. And the important points are we have to remember in our mind that when the poet explains about the beauty of the place, or before explaining the character Michael, William Wordsworth depicts the picture of that land area. That means we discussed that land area is like a valley, and the valley is covered with a mountain ranges, and this place filled with rocks, stones, and all. And at the same time, Wordsworth says that this place is specifically beautiful because the greenery of that particular place. But at the same time, William Wordsworth says that it's very hard to climb that particular location or a place, and this place is very hilly area, and Wordsworth consider the reader as a traveler, and he led the reader like a guide. Okay, so these are the important points we discussed in the first part of the poem. And in the second part of the poem, we can discuss about the central theme of the poem. Here, there dwelt a shepherd, Michael was his name, an old man, stout of heart and strong of limb. His bodily frame had been from youth to age of an unusual strength. His mind was keen, intense, and frugal, apt for all affairs. Okay, what's the meaning of these lines? From the 41, the lines from the 41, we can discuss about the important imageries or important imaginations and depiction of this poem. And here onwards, the poet explains about the central character of the poem, that is Michael. Okay, through these lines, poet William Wordsworth depicts the character Michael. Okay, depicts the character Michael. Michael was his name. The poet says that in the initial part of the line, William Wordsworth invites readers to visit the place. That place is a hilly slope land and a valley. There, a family, a small family lives. That is an old man and his family. And these lines, the line 41 onwards, poet William Wordsworth explains about the characterization or the character Michael. And the poet says that you can see in that hilly region or in that particular valley, you can see an old man. That man's name is Michael. Okay, and here poet explains about the characterization of Michael. Characterization of Michael. Characterization of Michael. What are the characterization? What are how the appearance of Michael explained William Wordsworth here? It means that he is an old man. Okay, he is an old man. Old man. It means that around 80 years old. Okay, and next point is he was stout of heart and strong of limb. It means that his heart is courage. That means he is very courageous. He is very courageous. He is very courageous. Okay, he is very courageous. That's the next point. And he has a strong body or a strong physique because his health is strong. His health is strong because at this old age, Michael is not weak. Michael is very, very strong. His body is strong. Okay, and his bodily frame had from youth to age. At this age, Michael is very old, but looks very old and tired. But actually, poet says that Michael is not tired. He is strong. Like Michael is strong. Okay, because his body is fit to work, because he is ready to work anything, and his mind is strong because he has a courageous mind and a strong body. That is the poet saying here. And he is like a young man. The poet considers that he is like a young man. He is like a young man. Okay, that means that he is 80 years old, but at the same time his mind and body is strong and he is ready to do any work. That means he is a hard worker. That is the poet says here. And an unusual strength. It means that Michael has an unusual strength. That means the poet indicates the strength of the character Michael, but he looks old, but his body and mind is young, and his body is fit, and he has a courageous mind, and he is ready to do anything. So that is the important concepts shares through these lines by the poet William Wordsworth. And next one is his mind is keen. His mind is keen. His mind is keen. What is keen? Keen means that his mind is very his mind indicates his eagerness, showing eagerness. Okay, keen means showing eagerness. Okay, so that is the meaning of the word keen. And he is intense and frugal. Okay, he is intense and frugal. What is frugal? Frugal means simple and planned. That is the meaning of the word frugal. Frugal means simple and planned. Simple and planned. Okay, simple and planned. So these lines is very important in this poem because already discussed that Michael is a central character in this poem, Michael, right? And this poem indicates the life of a character, that is Michael. Okay, so through these lines, the line number 41 onwards, and whenever we write the exam answer in the mains examination, you have to indicate these type of hints, and it will give more impressions, okay, and it will be more useful for your presentation, and the examiner will be impressed through this type of presentation in your answer sheet, okay. So here we can say that the line number 41 onwards, this poem, William Wordsworth start explaining about the quality or the or the character of the person Michael, because Michael is the name of the poem, and the name of the poem itself indicates the character of the poem, that is Michael. And what are the features of this characterization? And we can say that the poet William Wordsworth explains about the feature of the character Michael. Michael is an old man. The first point is Michael is an old man. And the second one is, the poet says that he is old, but he is strong. He has a courageous mind, a confident mind. And he has a strong body. That means he is willing to do any work in his life. He is not tired. Okay. And next, the poet says that the nature of the nature of the character Michael. He is a hard worker. He has a strong mind, and his age is. When we look Michael, he looks old, but actually he is young, according to William Wordsworth. And next one is, he has an unusual strength. That means that he, at the age of 80, so now he is in an old age period, but at the same time he is not old, his body is strong. And next one is, his mind is keen. His mind is keen. That means that his mind is very focused, because he always working. He is always working, and he is always trying to do more and more. So the poet says that his mind is very happy, and his mind is very positive. But here, the remaining part of this lines, the poet starts explaining about the pain suffered by this character Michael, with the relation connecting with his son. Okay, that is Luke. So that we are going to explain in the next lines. So here, these are the important points or important presentations of the poem, and through this lines, for line number 41 to 45 of the poem, William Wordsworth start explaining about the character Michael. Okay, so next we can move to the next lines, line number 46 to 50. And what are the important imaginary presentations by the William Wordsworth in these lines? And in his shepherd's calling he was prompt and watchful more than ordinary men. Hence had he learned the meaning of all winds, of blast of every tone and of times. When others heeded not, he heard the sound. What are the meanings of this lines? Let's look. And his shepherd's calling he was prompt and watchful more than ordinary men. Hence had he learned the meaning of all winds, of blast every tone and of times. When others heeded not, he heard the south. So let's start. And in his shepherd's calling he was prompt. So the 14 lines onwards, the 40 to 41, 41 to 45 lines explained about the characterization of Michael. And the next lines also, the poet William Wordsworth explains about the character Michael. Okay, and here the poet explains about his life in that particular land, or his life in the particular area, valley. And the poet says that, and his shepherd's calling he was prompt. And normally the poet says that he is very very courage. Okay, what is prompt? Prompt means courageous. Okay, prompt means courageous. Okay, courageous or confident. Prompt means courageous or confident. And watchful more than ordinary men. That means that the poet says to the readers that when we compare the ordinary man, Michael is exceptionally different. That means that Michael's life is different, his work is different, he is always hardworking, he's an hardworking person, and his body is strong, but already he is very old, but at the same time his body is strong, and he is willing to do any work in life, and he is not lazy. So considering the other ordinary man, and the poet consider the ordinary man with the character Michael. And the important feature of Michael is the character Michael is very courageous person, and hence he had learned the meaning of all winds. And next one is Michael can understand the changes happening in the nature. That means the poet says that we can say that William Wordsworth is itself one of the natural poet, and his favorite theme is nature. And the poet here says that Michael is an old man, but he is strong and healthy and young. And in this line, poet mainly stress the important point, his favorite content, that is nature. And poet William Wordsworth says that Michael is very close to nature. Okay, the character Michael is very close to nature. Michael can easily understand the changes happening in nature. For example, like here the poet indicates about winds and blast of every tone, that means the tone of nature, and of times when others had not heard the sound. That means Michael can identify the minute voice of nature, minute movement of nature. The poet exceptionally here add the characterization of Michael is that Michael is an old man, but at the same time he is young and energetic person, and he can identify the voice or identify the noise in the nature, and the noise from the wind and other natural objects and natural things. So this is the next presentation or next representation of the character Michael. So here is an important point here. Then what is the presentation? How poet William Wordsworth explains the character Michael. Explain the character Michael. Okay, how the poet William Wordsworth explained the character Michael, or what are the characterization of the title of the poem Michael. And we can write the important point here. William Wordsworth says Michael is prompt. Okay, Michael is prompt. It means that courageous or confident. Okay, Michael is prompt. That is an important presentation or characterization. And next one is how William Wordsworth compares Michael with an ordinary people. That means Michael lives in that valley and he can easily identify the changes, or he can easily divide, or he can easily identify the noise from the nature, especially some natural things, the common things like wind and all other natural occurrings. Okay, so that is the next presentation according to William Wordsworth. Here Michael can easily understand natural occurrings like wind and other noises. Okay, so these are the next important characterization. Through these lines we can read. That means the previous lines from line 41 to 45, William Wordsworth started explaining the character Michael, and the relevant of that lines is, then the relevant of the lines, the poem's title is Michael, and Michael is the central character in this poem. And from the lines 41 onwards, William Wordsworth starts explaining the character Michael. And the next lines of the poem, that is 46 to 50 lines, poet again stressed some character or the features of the character Michael. Okay, so these are the important imaginary presentation regarding with the character Michael. And next lines. Let's read the next lines. Okay. Make subterraneous music like the noise of bagpipers on the distant highland hills. The shepherd at such swarming of his flock, without him and he to himself would say, the winds are now devising work for me. Okay, make subterraneous music like the noise of bagpipers on distant highland hills. The shepherd at such warning of his flock, without him and he to himself would say, the winds are now devising work for me. And here in these lines, poet William Wordsworth explains about the thought or the work of Michael. That means how Michael lives there, and what are the habits or what are the character features of Michael. Actually, we know that Michael is a shepherd, and besides this shepherding, Michael has some exceptional work. And the poet says that through these lines, Michael enjoys, or Michael can sense some sort of natural things. Okay, So that is the important point in these lines. So let's look the lines one by one, okay? And 51 to 56, okay? And here the important point is that the poet naturally depicts about wind. Okay? We know that wind is a natural occurring. That means a normal natural event. And we know that poet William Wordsworth is a natural poet. Okay, natural poet. And in this line, poet directly linked the character of Michael with the nature. So here, in order to link this connection between the character Michael and nature, poet says about wind. So here, what is the role of wind here? We can say that make subterraneous music like the noise or bagpipers on distant highlands hills. Or here it means that poet says that what is subterraneous? That means situating. The meaning is situating. Like the noise or bagpipers on the distant highland hills. And here when Michael is living in this particular land or a particular valley, Michael can sense or identify or understand the music of nature or the music of the opposite land areas or hills, highland areas. Okay, so that is the main idea poet share here. It means that Michael can identify the voice and tone of nature. Okay, and here from the noise of highland, noise of wind, noise of nature, okay, and the shepherd at such warning of his flock without him and to himself would say, the winds are now devising work for me. It means that poet says that Michael can identify the noise of nature. That is the first point. And next one, Michael can easily understand the tone of nature. The tone of nature, specifically wind. Specifically wind. Okay. So here in these lines, poet William Wordsworth connects the relation between the character Michael with nature. So let's move to the next lines. Line 56 to 60. 56 to 60. Next lines. And truly at all times the storm that drives the traveler to a shelter summoned him up to the mountains. He had been alone amid the heart of many thousand mists that came to him and left him on the heights. Again the poem, these lines explains about nature and Michael. Okay. Through these lines also, William Wordsworth explains about William Wordsworth explains about the connection of nature with Michael. Okay? It means that here some natural presentation here. That means relating with nature. Storm, and next one is mountains. Okay, and next one is mist, and here heights, valleys or mountains. Okay, so these are the different natural things poet depicts in this line. It means that William Wordsworth says that William Wordsworth says that Michael lived in the hill near the valley, and Michael can feel the presence of some natural things. Here specifically we can say that natural things like the presence of storm, and next one is mountains, and third one is mist. What is mist? Here we can say that mist means a cloud of water, right? A cloud of like a cloud of water, right? That is mist. Okay, like snow. Okay, in the form of snow, in the form of precipitation. So these are the important imaginations or important meaning relating with these lines included in the lines 56 to 60 lines of the poem Michael. Then according to William Wordsworth, poet connects the life of Michael with nature, and the poet says that because the poet says to readers, okay, actually the readers are traveling. Just this poem, we already said that this poem is not a direct conversation from the mind of William Wordsworth. Actually, William Wordsworth is playing a role like a guide in this poem, because through this poem, William Wordsworth leads the reader to that particular land. And we can say that this poem is not a direct experience, it's not a direct depiction of the poet. And the poet says that he knows that place. William Wordsworth already known that place, and he wanted to share the knowledge, or he wanted to share the imagination connecting with that a particular land area, that a valley. And the poet says that the character Michael, and Michael is not here, it's not William Wordsworth, and it's a third depiction. Okay, it's a third person. And here the poet communicate with the readers about a third person. Here Michael is a third person in this poem. But when we compare the other poems, like William Wordsworth, different poems are there, and we already studied the two Lucy poems. And in general, we can say that all the poems, William Wordsworth explains his emotions directly through the poem. But this poem is exceptional case. That means through this poem, William Wordsworth plays a role like a guide or a traveler, and he invites the reader to travel with him. So that is the difference of this poem. And through these lines, the poet connects Michael with nature. Michael lived in the land area or in a particular lake district, and it's a valley covering with the mountains. And poet says that Michael has some emotional connections with nature, especially some natural process like wind, storm, and mountains like that. So these are the depiction. That means through these lines, William Wordsworth explains the characterization of the central character of the poem, Michael. And next we can discuss the line 61 to 65. Line 61 to 65. So lived he till his 18th year was past, and grossly that man errs who should suppose that the green valley and the streams and rocks were things indifferent to the shepherd's thoughts, field where with cheerful spirit he had breathed. Okay, so the next lines are, so lived he till his 80th year was past, and grossly that man errs who should suppose that the green valley and the stream and rocks were things indifferent to the shepherd's thoughts, field where with cheerful spirit he had breathed. Okay, so let's discuss. So lived till his 80th years means that Michael lived in that place. Michael lived in that place till his 80th, till his 18 years. That means now Michael is 80, very old. That is the meaning. And grossly that man errs who should suppose that green valley and the streams and rocks. It means that Michael lived there among the rocks and among the rocks, among the streams, among the rock streams, and other objects in nature. Objects in nature. Okay, that is the meaning. And where things indifferent to the shepherd's thoughts, feel where with cheerful spirit he had breathed. That means that he lived that place. He lived in that place very happily, and he enjoyed his life. He worked hard, and he breathed the fresh air of that nature. And he was a part in that nature. That is the meaning of the poem. In these lines, the poet William Wordsworth explains the presence of or the life of Michael in that particular valley. Okay, so next lines, line 66 to 67. The common air, hills which the vigorous step he had so often climbed, which had impressed so many incidents upon his mind of hardship, skill and courage, joy or fear, which like a brook preserved the memory. And the next one, this poem, in this part of this poem, these lines, poet explains about the mind of Michael, explains about the mind of Michael. Okay. Life of Michael. Okay. How was the life of Michael in that area or in that land? It means that he lived in that valley. He lived in that valley as a part of nature, as a part of nature. And next means that Michael was old, and his life was vigorous. His life was vigorous. That means that here life was vigorous. Here means that in that slope area, in that land, it is very hard to reach, or it is very hard to climb. But he done it well, according to William Wordsworth. And he climbed that hill with courage. Okay, with courage. He climbed that hill with courage. And next one, Michael experienced so many incidents. So many incidents. It means that Michael experienced or faced so many experiences or incidents for the 80 years in his life. Okay. And poet says that his life was in hardship. Sometimes he faced hardships. Sometimes he faced hardships, and he faced challenges. He faced challenges. Okay. And he enjoyed his life with joy or fear, with his courageous mind. With his courageous mind. Okay. So this is the presentation of life of Michael in that land. It's an important point here. What is the life of Michael in that land? What was the condition of life of Michael in that land? And here we said, through these lines, William Wordsworth explains about the life of Michael. And the poet says that Michael's life was a mix of sorrow and happiness. And he faced all the problems in life. He faced a lot of challenges. Okay. He faced a lot of hardship. But his mind was strong. With the confidence or with courage, he faced all the bitter experiences in his life. And the poet says that the life of Michael is like a beautiful book. It means that Michael has experience. Michael has experienced with with preserved memories. Preserved memories. What is preserved memories? That means in the last 80 years of his life, he faced a lot of challenges, a lot of problems. But at the same time, he faced the sorrow and happiness. His life is a joy, mixture of joy and fear. And all these experiences, with all these experience, William Wordsworth says that Michael's life is like a book filled with beautiful memories, preserved memories, protected memories. Okay, so that is the depiction of life of Michael in this poem. The depiction of life of Michael in this poem. Okay. And next we can discuss about the lines 71 to 75. Of the dumb animals whom he had saved, had fed or sheltered, linking to such acts, the certainty of honorable gain, those fields, those hills, what could they less, had laid strong hold on his affections were to him. Okay, so what is the meaning of these lines? Of the dumb animals whom he had saved, had fed or sheltered, linking to such acts, the certainty of honorable gain, those fields, those hills, what could they less, had laid strong hold on his affection, were to him. So let's discuss. The dumb animals whom he had saved, it means that Michael protected or Michael saved lot of animals. Okay, Michael saved lot of animals and he fed or sheltered. That means he gave protection for the animals in that valley, and he feeds them. Okay, he feeds them, the animals, and keep a connection. That means a warm affection towards the animal. Okay, and those hills, what could he less, had laid strong hold of his affection were to him. It means that we can conclude the meaning is that Michael and surroundings. Michael and surroundings. It means that when Michael lived in that valley, he was the protector of animals. Okay, and the next one is Michael had a close affection with animals. Michael had a close affection with animals. Michael feeds the animals and he arranged shelter for them. Okay, so here in these lines, poet William Wordsworth explains about Michael's attitude towards animals. Here the poet explains that Michael is a good human being, okay, a nice human being. He loved nature. He loved his community. He loved animals. It means that he is very humble and an affectionate person towards his community or surrounding. And at the same time, he is very old, but he is very strong. Okay, so that is the meaning used in these lines. Next one is lines 76 to 80. Next lines 76 to 80. A pleasurable feeling of blind love, a pleasure which there is in life itself. His days had not been passed in the singleness. His helpmate was a comely matron, old though younger than himself with 20 years. And here the poet William Wordsworth explains about the wife of Michael. Okay, so till this line, poet explained about the characterization or the character of Michael, and in this line onwards, poet explained about the next character, that is the wife of Michael. And here the poet used the word helpmate. Normally we can say that soulmate. Okay, so like that, a beautiful word the poet used here, that is helpmate. Helpmate of Michael. Okay, so the helpmate is Isabel. The name is Isabel. Okay, Isabel is the name of Michael's wife. Okay, the wife of Michael named Isabel. And the poet explained about Isabel in this line. It means that Michael, the character Michael is old. He is 80 years old. And he has a family. They are living in that valley. He is a shepherd. And his life is a mixture of sorrow and happiness. He faced all the challenges in life. Okay. And all these experiences is like a book. It's a book. It means that with all these experiences, Michael has a good memory in life. And here, poet says about another character, that is the helpmate or the wife of Michael. Her name is Isabel. And Isabel is the person behind all the strength of Michael. And the poet says that Isabel was very supportive to Michael. Okay, the next lines are lines 81 to 85. She was a woman of stirring life, whose heart was in her house. 2 wheels she had, of antique form this large for spinning wool, that small for flax, and if one wheel had rest, it was because of other was at work. It means that Isabel also helped Michael to live their life. That means to fulfill their needs. And here Isabel also doing her work, that is spinning wool. And Isabel is a wife, that means 20 years difference. That means the poet says that between them there is a 20 years difference between this Michael and his wife. And next lines are, the pair had but one inmate in their house, an only child who had been born to them. When Michael, telling over his years, began to deem at he was old in shepherd's phrase, with one foot in grave, this only son. And in these lines, line 86 to 90, poet says that another characterization, that is, the character name is Luke. The character name is Luke. Who is Luke? Luke is the son of Michael. Son of Michael and Isabel. Son of Michael and Isabel. Okay. Luke is the son of Michael and Isabel. And from these lines, the poem starts. That means, from this line onwards, poet William Wordsworth explains the correct theme of the poem. And the pair had but one inmate. That means both Michael and Isabel, one more inmate. Inmate means a member in their home. Okay, that is in their house, that is Luke. Okay, Luke was the son of Michael and Isabel. And they are here, both Michael and Isabel, struggling this life to improve the life of Luke. Actually, they are living for their son. That is the introduction of the character Luke here. And the next lines 91 to 95. With the two brave sheepdogs, tried in many storm, one on in inestimable worth, made all their household, I may truly say, that they were as a proverb in the vale, for endless industry when day was gone. Okay, so here in these lines, poet explains about, with the brave sheepdogs tried in many a storm, the one of an inestimable worth, made all their household, I may truly say, that they were as a proverb in the vale, and endless industry when day was gone. It means that the life of Michael, the poet says about the life of Michael in that valley with his family, and he is trying to survive his problems. That means he is trying to face his problems with his family. And Michael's the important aim, the aim of Michael's life is to give the priority, or his priority was his son. And in order to face the challenge in life, Michael, the old man with his family, lived in this valley. Okay, the next one is line 96 to 100. And from their occupations out of doors, the son and father were come home. Even then, their labor did not cease, unless when all turned to the cleanly supper board, and there each with a mess of pottage and skimmed milk. It means that their daily, it's a routine of Michael's life. Routine of Michael's life. It means that after the occupations out of the doors, son and father were come home, and their labor did not cease when all the turned to the cleanly superboard, and each with mess, potash, and skimmed milk. That means their life was simple. That means they never spend the money for luxury. That means luxury means their food and their daily life was very simple. Very simple. That means they lived very simple life. That's the meaning of these lines, and nothing more in these lines. These lines is not relevant for the explanation of this poem. That's what we just explain. That's what we just mention the meaning only. Okay. And these are the important meanings from these lines we discussed today. And here we discussed about the about the about the important meanings of the lines. And from this first 200 lines, we discussed first 200 lines of the poem. The first 100 lines of the poem, the poet explained about the nature. That means explains about the beauty of nature, and this is like a travelogue. We can say that this is like a travelogue. Here the William Wordsworth, the poet William Wordsworth function as a guide, like a guide. That means William Wordsworth invite the reader to visit that place. And this poem is the depiction of a character, Michael. Michael is a shepherd, and with his family members, we already discussed about the character to another character, Isabel and Luke. Isabel was the wife of Michael, and Luke was the son of Michael and Isabel. Okay, and we already discussed that Michael was an old man, 80 years old man, and his health was strong. He looks like an old man, but his body is strong like a young man. And next one is, the poet also explains about the connection of Michael with nature. And the poet says that Michael has some exceptional experience in this nature. It means that Michael can easily identify the tone or the music of nature, the music of wind, the music of birds, and the beauty of the land and all. And the poet says that this valley is very green and beautiful. And in this land, Michael lived with his family. He is a shepherd. And the poet says that Michael has a good memory, a book of memory. What is the book of memory here? Poet says that Michael has mixture of experiences like joy, sorrow, challenges, hardships. That's why poet says that with courage or with a positive mind, Michael faced all the problems in his life, and his life is dedicated for his son Luke. And poet says that in the initial 100 lines of the poem, the poet depicts the character of Michael, his wife Isabel, and his son Luke. These are the first 100 lines of the poem, and we can discuss the next 300 lines, the remaining 300 plus lines. We have 400 lines, for 90 lines in this poem, and the remaining portion of this poem we will discuss in the next session. Thank you.